Writing is like building a house. When you sit down with pen and paper in hand, which is my preferred method, something unlocks in your mind, and you begin to see the structure of what your mind's been chewing on or wrestling through. You would be crazy to build any sizable structure without a blueprint or plan of some sort, yet often we lay the foundation and erect our emotional boundaries and health. We begin without any forethought, direction, or structure. Dr. James Pennebaker's book, Expressive Writing, Words That Heal, discusses the benefits of personal and expressive writing to regain your emotional health. In his research, Dr. Pennebaker discovered that those who followed a journaling routine daily for 15 minutes went to the doctor less often. And after the study concluded, the researchers continued to follow their research participants for several months to see what, if any, long-term effects came from this emotional writing experiment. Well, they identified three main outcomes. The first one is biological effects. Researchers noted improvements in the participants' immune systems, mental health markers, and physiological stress indicators. The second was psychological effects. These were a bit more complicated to narrow down, but they were also interesting. They discovered that in the first few hours after writing about a difficult or traumatic event, sadness and tears were common. But the long-term effects showed the writers became more positive, happier, and had better cognitive function. The third was behavioral changes. Most of the participants in the study found they could better adapt to their current situation, whatever it was. For students in the study, they experienced higher grades. Overall, the participants were less angry, anxious, and felt more socially comfortable. Well, how does this apply to you? And how could you heal faster and start to reap the benefits of journaling? Here's a blueprint for guided journaling and emotional writing. Opening thoughts. I don't use Dear Diary or anything like that. I simply start writing about how I'm feeling in the moment. You could also jot some thoughts about where you are or what's going on around you or whatever you need to do to loosen up your thought process. The second is the current event or memory. Pick anything you need to process. In the research study, they invited participants to write about a traumatic event. But if you need to process something like that, then do it. Don't judge, edit, or evaluate. Just write anything that comes to your mind. This is the time to get the emotions out of your thoughts and onto the paper. And I do recommend the manual method. However, if you're someplace and you need to process but you don't have a pen and paper, record a voice memo on your phone or write an electronic note. The point here is to process through what's happening. Secondly, don't forget to capture those exciting moments. You might even take a picture and then write what's going on in the picture. Just write the details so that you can process the happy, joy-filled moments and capture the memories for later. The third is to write for at least 15 minutes. You can write longer, but there's something about developing the 15-minute discipline that helps you get into the flow with your thoughts. Now, when you get stuck, and it does happen, and it's not yet been 15 minutes, sit in that tension for just a few moments and ask yourself some questions about why you're stuck. If you're a person of faith, ask God to hold you to show you what's holding you back and what you need to get off your mind. Sometimes those moments of quiet reflection spur new thoughts and emotions. Jot them down, explore them, ask yourself questions about them. Just don't get hung up on proper grammar, sentence structure, or even making logical sense. That stops the flow of your thoughts. Simply write what comes to mind. It's often in this free writing that you unlock the real issue or discover a new positive flow. The fourth thing is to set it aside for now, but plan to review it later. Once you've completed your thought process for today, set it aside. If you've processed through a traumatic event, reviewing it at a later date brings encouragement and further clarity. So when should you review it? Well, whenever you're ready. You might take time to review it with your coach, a counselor, your husband, or your soul sister or BFF. You see, there's no magic formula here. Several times I've reviewed key journal entries with my coach, a counselor, my husband, or a close friend. I need their perspective on what I've discovered in that journal entry. I also need to celebrate the growth I've seen from the entry to the date of my review. The whole idea of this blueprint is to give you a plan to start processing through your emotional pain. And I find this is one of the healthiest ways to find my emotional balance. It frees me up to explore what's really happening without fear of reprisal for someone else. Science proves that expressive writing creates a healthy way to process through our struggles. Well, what do you have to lose? Try it. Remember, just simply start, write about a memory, or something that's happening around you, write for 15 minutes, and then set it aside to review later. See if this helps you gain your emotional footing and discover the healthiness you desire. Lay the foundation so you can start to build your emotional architecture today. I started journaling consistently 13 years ago, and today as I look back, I recognize the healing that's come from processing my life through the written word. Most of what I've written will never be seen by anyone else because it doesn't benefit them. But journaling made dramatic emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual changes in my life. What prompted my journaling? An emotional punch in the gut. When my loving husband revealed he was addicted to pornography and might lose his job, my world started to spin out of control, and the pit beneath me threatened to swallow me whole. It took this giant, painful wake-up in my marriage to prompt me to start processing my emotions in a journal. Maybe you can relate, or maybe you can't. But do you see the possible benefits journaling offers you if you'll take 15 minutes for yourself every day? Now what's stopping you? And I mean it. This is not a pep talk. I'm really asking you, what's stopping you? If you need help getting unstuck, let's talk. I offer a free consultation to personalize some next steps so you can begin to clear your head and start healing. Just hop on over to KirstenDSamuel.com. That's KIRSTEN, D as in Diane, Samuel, SAMUEL.com. Click the big blue button. Let's talk.